9-year-old Stephanie Crane was last seen in Challis, Idaho on October 11, 1993. She disappeared after departing the Challis bowling alley where she was bowling with friends and hasn't been seen since. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to GrayDays TV, and today I'm going to be talking about the disappearance of Stephanie Crane. Stephanie Crane was born on September 28th of 1984 to Sandy and Ben Crane. The eldest of 4 children, Stephanie had 3 younger siblings and lived with her family in Challis, Idaho. Described as a tomboy, she spent a lot of her time outdoors, biking around, and was also part of the youth bowling league. On October 11, 1993, Stephanie's mother dropped her off after school at the Challis bowling alley in Challis, Idaho. She was there to attend bowling practice for the elementary school's bowling league. And at approximately 4:45, the group wrapped up and began heading home. A mother of one of Stephanie's friends who was at the bowling practice that day claims to have seen Stephanie walking away from the bowling alley, presumably towards her grandparents' home, which was approximately 500 yards away. Another mother of the group claimed to have offered Stephanie a ride home, but claimed Stephanie declined the offer, saying that she left her book bag at the high school soccer field, which was located across the street from the bowling alley. And Stephanie was last seen walking on Highway 93 towards Challis High School at approximately 6 p.m. And around 8:15 p.m., Sandy Crane, Stephanie's mother, walked into the Custer County Sheriff's Office and reported that she could not find her daughter. By 9 p.m., the Custer County Sheriff's Office, Search and Rescue, and the Volunteer Fire Department were all out searching for Stephanie. The search extended through Challis, the elementary school, the high school, and the surrounding area, which amounted to about 7,000 square miles and 2 counties. All of Stephanie's school friends were also contacted, as well as most of her classmates and the bowling team, but there was no sign of Stephanie. It was noted that an unknown yellow pickup truck described as having a red pinstripe was parked at the high school near where Stephanie was last seen. However, the truck was already gone by the time authorities went to look for it, and the vehicle number or even model of the vehicle was never positively identified. The initial search was suspended around 12:30 a.m. with plans to resume the search at 7 a.m. the next day. The following day, 300 searchers, 2 planes, hundreds of phone calls, FBI agents, Custer County Sheriff deputies, Idaho State Police, Idaho Bureau of Investigation, fish and game officers, and a team of tracking dogs failed to turn up any clues as to Stephanie's whereabouts. Boat crews that checked the rivers from Challis to Salmon also failed to turn up any sign of Stephanie.
Crane's case was featured on America's Most Wanted and most recently on the Discovery series Disappeared on the Investigation Discovery Channel. When Stephanie disappeared, she was 4'2", 65 to 85 pounds. What we're going to show you now is a report from KPVI that aired in 1993 about the possible suspects in the case.
The Idaho Bureau of Investigation has told Newswatch 6 that Stephanie Crane's disappearance may be related to problems inside her immediate family.
Her family existence wasn't ideal, let's put it that way.
IBI says that one-time suspect Robert Paul Crane, Stephanie's great-uncle, has an alibi that seems to be holding up. However, they add other family members may be involved.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody in the family has lent a helping hand to Stephanie, and then when the investigation blew up so large and big, they got scared and panicked.
Meanwhile, other leads continue to come in, including sightings of the Challis girl, missing since October 11th.
One of them was at a roller skating rink out of state. I called up to check on that, and he says, well, he's seen her twice. He's pretty sure it looks just like her, but nothing that we can follow up on.
The news out of Petaluma, California is also promising. Authorities there have arrested a suspect in the knife-point abduction of 12-year-old Polly Klaas. Richard Allen Davis has a history of criminal activity, including kidnapping. IBI is preparing a line of questioning for Davis, specifically
where he was on October the 11th, and who can justify or help support his location.
IBI confirms that generally the life expectancy for a victim of a stranger abduction is very short.
That was a news report aired in 1993. Now, no charges were ever filed against her granduncle, Robert Paul Crane, in the relation to the disappearance of Stephanie.
In the spring of 2000, 7 years after the disappearance of Stephanie Crane, an inmate in Napa, Idaho claimed a female friend of his rented a room from a drifter back in 1993, where screams and cries of a young girl were heard coming from the basement. And when the inmate's female friend asked the drifter about the screams coming from his basement, all he told her was that he was punishing his daughter who had tried to run away. She eventually left the apartment due to fear, which is perfectly understandable. And after discovering a history of sexual abuse in his criminal record, authorities brought the drifter in for questioning, and he actually ended up failing a polygraph test. They then carried out a search of his apartment where they found hair fibers and blood samples. And although the bloodstains couldn't be identified as human or animal, the hair fibers were identified as human. However, DNA testing could not be conducted on the hair that was found because the follicle was missing, and the follicle is the part of the hair fiber that holds your DNA. The drifter was also reluctantly identified by a female worker at the bowling alley where Stephanie disappeared in 1993, but she wasn't able to make a positive identification. So due to the lack of evidence, the drifter's name and face was never revealed, and he was never arrested. They let him go. Another suspect who was investigated in the disappearance of Stephanie Crane was a man named Keith Glenn Hescock. On June 5th, 2002, Hescock abducted a 14-year-old girl outside of her home. Luckily, while he was at work, the 14-year-old was able to escape and contacted the authorities. And when police attempted to arrest him, he fled the scene. The chase ended on a dead-end road in the Bug Hole Mountains, where he shot a police dog and an officer before turning the gun on himself and taking his own life. What makes this even more interesting is that according to one of Hescock's neighbors, he was actually hunting in Chalice the weekend of Stephanie's disappearance. And this hunting trip was actually documented. Hescock killed a bighorn sheep ram in the Chalice area, and it was documented at a game check station. He also drove a yellow pickup truck similar to the one seen near where Stephanie disappeared. Unfortunately, the truck was never found, and after a search of Hescock's residence, no evidence was found. His only criminal record in Idaho was for poaching, but he had several felonies in other states. But again, unfortunately, authorities were never able to connect him to Stephanie Crane, and due to the fact that he took his own life, they were never able to question him about Stephanie Crane. But the case was still active, and the Custer County Sheriff's Office were still attempting to find Stephanie, even as far as 2010. In 2010, the Custer County Sheriff's Office contacted the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for help with the investigation. And they specifically requested assistance from Project Alert. Project Alert representatives are retired law enforcement professionals who are trained by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to participate in a variety of ways on missing child cases. And they specialize in long-term missing children cases. In 2012, Custer County Sheriff's Office searched different areas of the county after receiving some tips on where Stephanie might be. They never found her, but the Sheriff's Office continues to work with other agencies to figure out what happened to Stephanie Crane.
Custer County Sheriff's Office tells me that Stephanie Crane had just left this bowling alley, Chalice Lanes, off of Highway 93, just before her disappearance on October 11th, 1993.
With certain advances in technology, we are going to review the whole case file as what we have now to see if we can develop leads that we had before, see if there's anything that we can develop from them with the new technology.
Life goes on for Tracy Batley, who now works at a local gas station.
It was hard. Everybody was out looking for her or putting up flyers, or, at that time we didn't have Facebook or anything, so it was a harder for everybody to get the message out.
Batley tells me she knew Stephanie and even has a daughter who was in the same class as her and was on a bowling team with Stephanie the night of her disappearance.
My heart just went out to Sandy, her mother, and her family, because it was almost as if my own child was missing too.
I found longtime community members like Charlotte Miller, who was dining at the Y-Inn in Chalice, where flyers of Stephanie still hang in the lobby of the cafe. She says she can never forget what happened.
We live right across from where she was abducted, and I think of it every time I look over that way.
As for Batley, who says there are still so many unanswered questions.
And if, she ever gets a chance to see any of this or whatever, we're still thinking of you, and we hope she makes it home.
Now, Custer County Sheriff's Office tells me that it's still an open and active investigation, and they do have persons of interest. And they believe that somebody out there knows what happened to Stephanie.
Authorities have 5 to 10 persons of interest in Stephanie's disappearance, none of them being family members. One of them, a woman, refused to answer any questions without an attorney present, which isn't all that suspicious. I mean, that is a right. But there is no more information on why they consider her a person of interest. That's the only information I have. Another person of interest, a man, took a polygraph test on the case, and his answers are noted as being deceptive but inconclusive. And in the aftermath of Stephanie's disappearance, her parents divorced in 1994 and have since both passed away of natural causes. Her mother, Sandy Crane, passed away on August 14th, 1997. And her father, Ben Crane, passed away on October 11th, 2012. Foul play is strongly suspected in Stephanie's disappearance, and authorities believe that she was taken against her will by a stranger. Stephanie Crane's 3 younger sisters and relatives are still carrying on the search for Stephanie Crane, and there is currently a $50,000 reward by the FBI for any information leading to an arrest and conviction for the persons involved in the disappearance of Stephanie Crane. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Stephanie Crane, please contact the Custer County Sheriff's Office at 208-879-2232 or call the We Help the Missing tip line at 866-660-4025. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is where I'm going to end things. If you do have any information or think you have any information, the numbers will be in the description down below. And don't forget to let me know what you guys think about this case in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. It helps the channel grow, and it brings more awareness to the video. More people will see it. So thank you in advance for any likes, any comments, anything like that. I really appreciate it. And if you have any suggestions for other cases I should look into, leave a comment down below. Like I say, I see the comments, even though maybe sometimes it seems like I don't. I do read the comments, I see them, and it is really appreciated when you guys leave suggestions. There's so many cases out there, it's hard to really narrow down which one I should focus on in a week. So when there are suggestions, it makes things a little easier for me. This case, the disappearance of Stephanie Crane, was suggested to me in the comments. So again, I really appreciate any suggestions that anybody watching has. So that is all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and like always, I will see you next video.